And thank you once again for joining us for another episode of the Angaza Show. My name is Pastor Tim Mwangi. You know, the Bible is very clear that life is not a straight line. We go through ups and downs, and there are many setbacks when we go through life. In fact, the Bible says that indeed, when you go through the waters and the fires, they will not consume you, because I, the Lord, will be with you. So the Lord is actually saying, you will go through the waters and the fires. What he assures us is that he will be with us. And today we want to look at the possibility and the reality of rising from setbacks. Life happens. COVID happened. Many things happen naturally, calamities and all these things. And this is just a pattern of life. And today we want to look at this reality. So join me in this conversation even as we go through a small musical break. So right now we just want to dive into the story on how to deal with setbacks. As I said earlier, this is life. Life is real. Life happens. We plan for things, but sometimes they don't go the way we want them to go. But there is always a way out of every situation. And so with us is a woman of God, and I want us to lead in this conversation. Bonas Fesana. Yeah. So let's talk about setbacks. You know, this is life, and life happens.
Yes, life happens, and actually it happens to all of us.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen to just a few. It happens to everybody.
Yeah.
So going through setbacks is just a part of life. God is always making us. God is always creating us or forming us, and even our own cells that we have no control of, they keep on renewing themselves as time goes by. And they have to go through a certain kind of work, you know, to become better or to become now what they are. So setbacks are part of life. We have no control of that sometimes, many times. Sometimes we do. Sometimes we can take precautions.
Okay.
But it will still happen to all of us.
Yeah.
Yes. So life will happen to all of us.
On a personal level, have you ever gone through something and you looked at it and you felt like, it looks like I can't get out of this?
Yes. Yes, I have. I have gone through, I have been put in the mud, you know. You know, that rock bottom when you know there's only rock and nothing else. And if I did not work on myself and work on these setbacks and use them to build myself up, probably right now I would be living in the village with my mother, with my 2 children, and going to fetch water with a donkey, and hiyo ndio ingekuwa maisha yangu. Nimefunga kitambaa na matuta kama 5 hivi ndio ni survive, you know. Yeah, but God was very faithful to me. I got to a place where it was about marriage, and it kind of swept me dry. Within a year, I didn't have anything, and I have to be housed by my sister.
So the marriage didn't work or something?
It did not work.
Okay.
It did not work.
You are a housewife?
No, I was a contractor.
Okay.
I was a construction contractor.
Okay.
And I was constructing greenhouses also.
Okay.
You know, when the greenhouse farming hit Kenya, and I started with importing greenhouses from China with a team of people, and the business didn't do well, so we went our ways, but I started doing it on my own. So I started fabricating. I had a yard somewhere in Lolongo where I was fabricating. I had a demo. I would sell greenhouses even outside Kenya, like in Tanzania, Uganda. I've sold greenhouses, all different parts of Kenya. It was doing very well. I was also constructing. Actually, my last project to do now, a big project, was a church, a very big church in
a greenhouse
Utawala.
church?
No,
okay.
A house,
a
church,
okay.
a house of God. A house of God.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was a contractor for many years. The greenhouse part was just, I think it's a passion that I grew up with, because my parents were teachers, but my father really loved farming.
Okay.
And it's just that passion of farming and growing up in the village. I love growing things. I love seeing things grow. So I grew that passion to do greenhouses. So I was doing very well. I was constructing. I was making good money. Then I met somebody. I was a single mother then. of one. Then I met somebody, and we kind of hit the road very fast, very quick. And the marriage didn't work properly because I got pregnant almost also immediately. And I invested a lot in him and in his business that didn't work. And there was some things that were not very straight with him. So I really went down. And he was a foreigner, so he left the country. And he left the country, and the agreement was that we stay with him, but it never worked. So now here I am with 2 children, and I'm single. And because we were planning to go stay with him, I had to dispose some of my things so that I can survive. Even a car that I had, some money I was saving to buy a house. I used all this within a year. That's why in our former discussion of money mindset, it's very crucial for me to think about money in very positive ways. So I now became like rock bottom, broken. Let me just call it that. And I had to be housed by my sister for some time before I get my grounds. Before I even plan that, am I going to this country or am I staying? That was the plan, that we go. But it wasn't working. So we started fighting. And I came to realize that this person had another partner in this country much later. And although they had their own issues, but it wasn't right, to put me through this. Even even if you have issues there, of course it's not right. So later now I started working on myself, and kidogo I spoke to people. I told them this is what I've gone through, and I would like to get up and start working.
So here you are from top, managing your own resources, managing your own life, and now you're in a place whereby you have to be actually housed. Now you're the father, you're the mother, and life has to go on.
To my name, I only had a suitcase of clothes and my children.
You've already spent all your savings?
Everything. I was borrowing. I would borrow like 200 shillings to eat. Nisaidie so mbili. I contribute at my sister's place. At least kipata nimenunua kitungu, she will feel that I'm trying.
You're trying. And this is a story of many people.
Yes,
where you really invest in a relationship and things don't really work. And I know some have not even risen from that. What you're calling the rock bottom. So how was this journey, getting out of this whole setback? Because this now, your whole life is pegged on someone and is no longer there.
I went back to basics. Teach your children, the Bible says, teach your children in the right way, and they will. They will fall back to it when, when the time is right. Or I don't have the exact Bible verse, but I know.
That's the interpretation. Teach them in the right way, and they will never depart from it.
They will never depart from it. I can say maybe I had departed. I had, but I recalled. So going back to the basics was, for me, I went back to Sunday school, and I asked myself, why did God create me? And I was raised in the Catholic Church, so we learned the catechism that God created me to know Him, to love Him, and to serve Him. So I already know who God is. I love Him, of course. And how am I serving Him? That was the big question for me. How am I serving Him? For me, I started looking at just the things we have around, like a pen. This pen was made by the owner so that they can write with it. So why did God create me? And that question started now driving me, pushing me to ask God to send me somebody. Because to me, all miracles that have happened, most of them have been through people.
Okay.
So I knew God has somebody somewhere. I don't need to know who they are. I don't need to know how. I just need to know that there's somebody somewhere that God can appoint to touch my life somehow. So I started calling my former clients, friends, and I would tell them my problem, you know, what I'm going through and what I've gone through and how I need help. And many times people are dying because they don't know how to ask for that help. People are dying because people are committing suicide because they are afraid of that voice of saying, I need help. Because you feel that like this is the biggest weakness that has ever happened. So I started asking for help shamelessly, you know. So I would meet somebody and I would just yap, I'm going through this and I need help. So I met somebody who is a life coach, my coach. His name is Stephen Moiro. I met him in town. He used to be my client in the construction field. So I told him, he was with a friend and said, meet this lady. She's an iron lady. She's done so many constructions. I've worked with her. She's great. You can even give her work. And I said, yeah, but right now, I'm not doing well. Mimi hata ukinipea kazi ya kusweep kwa site, I will sweep because I need to eat. I need to feed my kids. I'm going through a tough time. Wow. I said, before we do that, come on Friday to this open day. I have an event I've created. I would like you to just listen. Okay. So I attended the event. It was a graduation for a class that he used to hold before COVID. So I went to the graduation. I listened to the people's stories about personal development, talking about how they are working on themselves, just their emotions, about the mindset, about self-awareness. And I told him, this is what I need. I don't know, I can't afford you. And he said, I know you. I know the kind of energy you carry. And I know if you go through this class, you'll be able to touch other people's lives. And he said, come to class. So I would go to class. I would even borrow 20 bob. Sina, yani, have you been? Yeah, fair. Yeah. Like 20 bob, unangoja saa ile matatus are cheaper. So you get a matatu to town. I don't even know how I'll go back home, but I would go, just knowing that I will somehow get home. And I would go to class. I never missed any class. I graduated. Before the graduation, I had already come up with Angelique Achievers. That was in 2017. And the energy has never been less. Wow. And I started from there now, believing in myself, believing that there's something bigger in me. So my setback, somehow, I started learning of the small things. I would subdivide a certain situation, you know, the big thing, I don't classify it as a big thing, but I take a small portion of what I've gone through and I learn from this one, I learn from this one, I learn from this one, and I gather all this information into lessons. So I also came up with my own class. Wow, and I like what you've said, the shame of asking for help. Yes. Because sometimes even when someone commits suicide, you'll always hear people say, but yangesema. Yeah, yeah. But do you think people are as receptive? Right now, you know, everyone is going through something. Yeah. That's the challenge. But I like the concept that you are not ashamed to say that I'm in this space and actually I need help. Because I've seen people who kind of want to cover their former identity so that people don't really know that I'm going through something because there is a person they knew, but that person is no longer in that status anymore. And they kind of try to be afraid to share exactly what they're going through. So your help was in men, and you are okay that, you know, it will take a man to come through. They are called destiny helpers. Yes, yes. I call them stepping stones. Yeah, because the destiny helper, I believe that the biggest destiny helper is God himself. Yes, yes. So when I'm coming to you, I'm not coming to Pastor T. I'm coming to the God in Pastor T. So when I come to the God in Pastor T, I know that there's a spirit in you that is a God. because God created you in his image. You're a creator. And I talk to that God. So when I'm talking to you, I'm not talking to all these other voices that are in every human being. The negative voices so I will command that voice to speak to me. Now that God in you to speak to me or to hear me out. And somehow that's the help comes out.
Okay.
Yes.
So now here you've gotten knowledge, personal development, and now you have to relaunch and rebrand and repackage and step back.
Yes.
This time not in the construction industry.
Yeah, not in the construction industry.
Why was that 360 turnaround?
Because I found my purpose.
Okay.
Yes, maybe God created me with this energy of construction, or I thought that is what I wanted. And I was a very confused young person when I was growing up. Because I passed well, I went to Strathmore, I did CPAs, then I got a job in a construction company. Okay. You see, now I've done accounts.
Finance, yeah.
Then I've gone to do construction. As a marketer, I was working for Indians where you do everything. So I was working on the payroll, I'm the marketer, I'm the salesperson, I'm the cashier, I'm making payrolls, I'm paying the workers, I'm supervising production, everything, packaging and everything. So I used to see myself as a very versatile person. And then I felt that I'm good with people because I was selling. So I went to the university and started a degree in marketing. Wow. So now that part of being good in people, is what I was not very clear about. But when it came to now doing the real job of marketing, I wasn't very good at it. I'm not good at it. Even up to now, I struggle with it. So I just knew that it is still not my place. Okay. So I went with the construction, where now I can apply all these things. I'm meeting people. I'm enjoying my space of meeting people. But now, looking back, for the purpose to be born, I had to look back from my young years when I was growing up, and I realized that I'm that person who people look up to, people call when they feel low. So I'm a very bubbly person. Okay. I remember even my mother used to caution me that you laugh too much, it's not nice. What a mistake, Yeah, so I'm that bubbly person where and people see me as a source of solutions. Okay,
there's a positive energy.
Yeah. Anyway. So I had to tune that into now coaching.
I want us to take a small break because I want us to come to very practical steps on how someone who's been through a setback can begin on those baby steps and enter into their God-ordained purpose and destiny. So thank you very much. We are addressing the matter of setbacks. When you go through life, I think one of the best scenarios that happen in life is when we went through the COVID. So many lives up to date, some people have never recovered. Of course, there are those who made money out of COVID, but majority of the people, this is something that caught them off guard, and such is life. Marriages fail. You wake up, you have a stall in Gekomba, the last night there was fire, and things just happen in life. But at the end of the day, it is the ability to emerge from what has happened that really defines men that make history and men that are considered as victors and people who conquer whatever is thrown on their way. And this is an amazing testimony, just looking at your story. Sometimes people see us on TV and they think, we're just sent from heaven. Speaking and oozing all this knowledge, and they're like, wow, those guys, it's better them. I wish they will know what I'm going through. Now here you are, you've discovered your purpose. What are some of the, some of the very practical steps? Someone is watching us today. They've thrown the towel, they've given up on their dreams. They just wake up because the sun rose in the morning. Yes. And they're just there. And there are people who will even look at themselves and say, Maze, pasininge kwafa. I know the abilities, I know the potentials, but this is not me. Some are even in alcohol, in drugs, indulgences, and we judge them by what they do, but we don't understand where they are They also know where the eye is not a safe place. What are some of these very practical things that you can do to get out of, to emerge again?
Yes. Number one, I would say be still.
Okay.
Be still and know that He is God. Be still, because when you're still, then you're able to calm your spirit and you're able to listen.
Okay.
You're able to hear the voice of God. You're able to discern what is it that you need to do. What is your next step? When you're going through something, something hard or something difficult, a setback or, painful something, you have so many voices. You're busy looking for solutions. And if you're not careful, you will look for solutions everywhere. And so many voices are speaking to you. But you need to just put all this aside. Because all these voices come with, a lot of confusion and a lot of worry, a lot of fear. But when you learn to calm yourself down, you're able to think straight. Recently, I was talking to, I received a call from somebody I coached, and she had met somebody who wanted to throw himself through the roof.
Okay.
And then she just told him, give me your phone and let me call somebody. So she called me. Let me call somebody for you. Before you throw yourself down, just talk to one last person. So this lady called me, and I asked his name, and I told him, right now, I don't want you to do anything else but breathe. Breathe. So he breathed. I said, follow my breath. Breathe. So just breathe. Let's breathe. Let's breathe. And this person breathed and breathed. And after a few breaths, he started crying. And now the lady was able to hold his hand and just walk with him down Kidogo. And he cried and said, it's okay to cry. It's okay to pour it out. When you open your heart to cry, you're pouring out all what you're going through. Then I told him, tell me what you're going to do in the next 10 minutes. And he said, I'm going to pick my kids.
Wow.
And I'm going to pick my wife. And that was, a solution was solved. Because he was able to calm down.
Wow.
We are too quick into judging. Why are you doing this? Why do you have to? I didn't even need to know why he wants to do that. I didn't even need to know what he's going through. I just needed first to let him calm down. So if he had not calmed down, probably even with this lady, because she didn't know what to do. Maybe angekuwa ameshaenda.
Okay. So the first thing is to be still.
Be still.
Okay.
Be still. Calm yourself down. When you calm, you're able to see clearly.
Okay.
Then learn to forgive yourself. Forgive yourself first. So when you learn to forgive yourself, first understand that I have contributed into my situation. So whether it is a marriage, whatever it is that has happened, I have contributed into what I am feeling. Even when it comes to death, people have died. I'm contributing to what I'm choosing to accommodate in my emotions. So because I have contributed, I need to learn to forgive myself. I have been through a journey that has made me the person that I am. So because I have been through that journey, I am able to realize that some of these things are not even my fault. So learn to be kind to yourself. When you're kind to yourself, now we go to forgiving others. Okay. So you're able to forgive the other person. Because if you're able, you have the capacity to look at yourself and realize that I have gone through this because of this 1, 2, 3, and I am this way because of 1, 2, 3. Then even this person has had a journey. They've had a past, they've had a life that has contributed to them being the way they are. So you may not have the power to change them. You may not have the power to, to even speak anything of life to them. But you have the power to just extend that grace of forgiving them. Sometimes people are even so proud to acknowledge that they did you wrong. So it's not about them. It's now about you. And forgiving them is offloading that burden. It's offloading what you're feeling about them. It is twisting the emotions, what you're feeling about them, to something different.
Okay.
Because you're now able to look at them positively. Like, I know if you knew better, you would have done better.
Okay.
So you are able to forgive them.
So you be still, forgive yourself first. We contribute anything that happens. Sometimes we are the people who've contributed.
Yes.
And then now we have the ability to forgive others if our setback is connected to somebody that really offended us and contributed to where we are.
Yeah. And then next, now you're able to look at yourself and ask yourself, where are you? Where are you right now? What is your moment right now? How self-aware are you about your situation, about yourself? How do you see yourself every single time? And what are you processing in your mind? So you work on your self-awareness. When you're able to work on your self-awareness, then you're able to start seeing, tomorrow. Yeah, so you start looking at yourself. You have to work on your self-awareness. So look at your mind, the state of your mind. There are things that you can do to help yourself work on your self-awareness.
Okay.
Some of these things are like meditation, are like prayer, connecting to God. And prayer is not just yapping to God. People are too much talking to God and they never listen. They never have time to listen to Him. They never make themselves still. Prayer is a conversation. That's what I believe in. It's a conversation between you and God. So if you are not hearing God communicate, there's something that you're not listening. You're not listening to your intuition, you're not listening to the signs around you. Many prayers are being answered, lakini zinakupita tu, because you're not able to, to calm yourself down to see what God is saying.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So learn to communicate, learn to listen and be heard by God. So that is something you can do now to work on your self-awareness. Journaling, writing down your, whatever, your plans, writing down your prayer requests. It is in the Bible, Habakkuk 2, I think, 1,
Write
2.
your vision in bold letters.
Yes.
Yes.
Writing your vision. And this is something that really works. It's worked for me.
Okay.
It's still working. I've written down things, and even with like a year passes by, and then this thing happens, and I remember I had written it somewhere.
Wow.
Like even like a car, like the kind of car you want, and it happens.
Okay.
So we need to learn to write down in a biblical perspective. So, and then you can also, do things like reading, adding more value to yourself, adding more information to yourself. When you're coming from a setback, there's a place you want to go to.
That's true.
So you have a goal. So when you have a goal, what are you supposed to do? What are the things you need to get to that goal?
Yeah.
So you need to work on that and start asking yourself, what can I do to build this up? And maybe lastly, you need to start telling yourself that I have what I need. When I started coaching, remember I said I was even borrowing for bus fare.
Yes.
To go to that class.
You're intentional about the class.
That's
very important.
Yeah. And immediately after I finished, I started going to schools. I started, working on myself. I write down. I didn't even have a laptop, but I had a notebook. And I would just write things on my notebook, make my notes, and go train. And I remember there are many things I did not have, like even the confidence to speak in front of people. I didn't have that public speaking skills.
Okay.
And I had to work on myself. But I had to write down the things that I have. So I said, I have a pen, I have a voice, I have, and it's a good voice actually. So I told myself I have a good voice. So that now I really enjoy, I start working on my public speaking skills. So I have this, I have empathy, I have, all the things I had.
So at the end of the day, So you have something. You can't say that you have nothing at the end of the day.
God gives us what we need, not what we want.
Okay.
So what we want might, like I can say that I want maybe a bigger car. But is it what I need? Is it what God is going to give me? Because if God gives me a V8 right now, my car is small. So if he gives me a V8 right now, fueling that car right now, am I at that state?
Okay.
Am I at the state of even
Service.
where it's having yes, all these things, the expenses that come with it. Am I in a position to do that?
That's true.
So yes, I would love to drive a car that I climb on, not that I get in, but am I ready for it? So God will prepare you slowly for what you need later. But right now, he has given you what you need. So whatever situation you're going through, you already have what you need.
Wow.
So that you can elevate yourself.
You know, that's a very powerful statement, because you always find people looking at what they don't have, and they really put their focus on that, and you know, they will not really focus on what they have to build to achieve what they don't have.
Yes.
And naturally, life, nobody has it all. There will always be a place where you are seeking still more, because that's how life is designed, so that every man needs someone else, because there are things that you need done on a certain level. Wow. So you began to check, this is what I have.
This is what I have. I was staying in a small house. I have a small space where I can put a plastic chair and a plastic table and a phone. So I started coaching people on WhatsApp.
Wow.
That was happening during COVID. And I remember my first client during COVID was in the US. He saw my story. So I also have my story. You know? So your story, what you have gone through, could also be an asset for you to use to build yourself. So this person had seen my story from America. It's a Nigerian, not even a Kenyan. And we went through my program, and he was even a coach there, and he wants to learn my program to see what I do. And he paid me, and I was using like a small phone. Kwanza, it was very dull, and I did it. Wow. And I started now getting other clients from different parts of the world. And now that for me made me realize that really what you have, if you embrace it, it can give birth to something big. Wow,
wow, wow, that's powerful. A chair, a table, and a small phone.
Yes.
And destiny begins from that.
Yeah. And small money to buy bundles. I didn't have money for Wi-Fi every month. I would buy credits and convert it to bundles. When I have a session, I know I have a session for one hour. So I buy bundles za kama 2 hours hivi.
Wow.
And I survive, and I get my money, and slowly I started growing and growing. And I can say that God has really restored me.
Amen. Amen.
And maybe something I can add on to that is resilience. You have to be resilient to your growth, resilient to your personal growth first, and then the growth of what you're trying to build. And pole to add value every small day. Let every day have a positive impact into yourself and also to what you're trying to grow.
Wow.
Sometimes we look at what we are growing. We look at the business I have started. Nimeanza kutengeneza chips na karai pale nje kwa barabara. And I want it to grow, but I'm not growing myself. Okay. So how are you going to handle what is going to come? Because right now you're at a state of handling that. So when it comes now, you are able to make maybe a small chips joint. How are you going to handle that when you're still at the same state of that person who was cooking at the roadside with the frying pan? Wow,
powerful, powerful. So at the end of the day, conclusion goes, even as you grow physically, never forget to continuously grow yourself, because the next level will demand a new you.
Yes.
And that new you is a person that you're now working on right now.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much. That's amazing. Even tying your story to the whole conversation, makes it more practical, more real.
Yes.
It doesn't look like a lecture we are giving in a school on psychology and how to overcome setbacks. Anyway, may God bless you. Thank you once again for having you. And may God keep on expanding you even as you touch many lives.
Thank you.
We are really blessed. So thank you very much for those that are watching. Let's meet at the Crossroads segment. So welcome back and thank you once again. As I said, life is a mystery. And one of the things is that is only the author of life that has all the details to how man can fully live in life. The most important thing is to know that you are ordained and designed for something greater than you're seeing it right now. When you go to those that teach sailing, they always say a great sailor is made in a stormy sea. And for those who teach aviation, they say a great pilot is made in very tough and rough terrains, because it is the ability to overcome these terrains and the ability to overcome the storms in the sea that gives you skills and capacity to be above others. And life is not a soft path. And what happens is that everything that man goes through, you either get lessons out of them, or above all, you either get resilience and stamina out of whatever you go through. You need to understand life is not a place where you stay you stay in a place where you're supposed to go through. There are people who've made the wilderness to be their dwelling place. The grace will come to an end, and that's a very tough area. But everyone has their wildernesses that they go through. Is a place you go through, and that going through becomes very key for the kind of people that we are. One person wrote on parenting, and he said that one of the greatest misgivings that is happening today is when parents say, I don't want my children to go through what I went through. But they forget they are who they are because of what they went through. Whatever never killed you did not just make you stronger, but whatever never killed you revealed who you are. And that tells you you can face other mountains and other giants. My name is Pastor Tim Mwangi, and thank you once again for joining us for this conversation. This is the Crossroads segment. Thank you for the guys behind the camera, the directors, producers, and the KBC fraternity. Till next Saturday, see you then.